Hello, investors, and welcome back. Let's talk about Sundial because tomorrow is the day that we've been waiting on to check that thesis statement and to see if the company can repeat what it did last quarter. Now, this quarter is going to be much different than last quarter. Not only are we waiting for an update on that Alcana acquisition, we're going to take a look at what that'll look like at the end of this presentation. And we're also looking for updates on buyback. We're looking for updates on what their thoughts are as far as legislation getting passed in the United States. Will Sundial ever touch the US market? Are they going to change their plans? This is a lot for them to do right now. So I can't imagine that in the rest of this year, that Sundial would even be interested in doing anything in the US market. I want to make sure that what they've already bitten off, they can chew and swallow. So tomorrow, Q4 financial results, they're going to come out from the ending period of December 31st, 2021, after the market closes on March 29th, and that's tomorrow. So March 30th is not only the deadline for the Alcana acquisition. They've delayed this multiple times. They were supposed to have it done last year, but we're also going to hear from the CEO himself. The last time we had a conference call, I think it was a much different sentiment. They did a press release. The stock price went down, and then as soon as he reassured investors that the reverse stock split was something he never wanted to talk about again, and I don't expect to hear him talking about the price being under $1. He basically took that off the table. I think there was some recovery in the share price, but obviously, this has been just getting punished lately. Last 2 weeks, it's had some recovery with a lot of different stocks in the market. So let's get straight into it. What are we expecting to happen even after this? So later this week, and these bills are not related to what's happening in Canada. This is all U.S. legislative. The House Rules Committee on Wednesday is going to vote, and hopefully they'll get something to the floor by the end of the week. So we're going to have to wait a little longer. I know some people were expecting something to happen today, but I think most of us found out over the weekend that Monday wasn't going to be anything taking place as far as legislation. That's why you've seen the pullback in the price today. And it found support, I would say, around 73 cents, 74 cents. So you can see today's range was 73, went all the way to 80 cents. The volume is starting to massively increase on this. So it's starting to get back to what it was before. Sundial's volume just really started to die down. You can see the average trading volume, 89 million, but today it did 220, and that was a max loss of 10% on the day. It could pull back again tomorrow in the AM. I wouldn't be surprised. And I talked about this possibly pulling back over the weekend for those of you that had a higher cost average. Now, like I said previously, it's easy to talk about the stock and mitigating your risk whenever you've got a super low cost average. So be sure to do your own due diligence, trade this the way that benefits you, whether it's a trade or an investment. We're all going to make different decisions. Now, if we take a look at the sector in the industry and how it's stacked up, you can see that there are some much different percentages. We've got some gains, some losses down here, but Tilray and Sundial seem to be at the top of the stack as far as trading volume. And the reason that I've picked Sundial to talk about it more than Tilray, and Tilray is in the U.S. I would focus on all of these that are in the U.S. and I would look at those first. Now, obviously, some of these aren't going to be actual, flower plays, but I would say even if you're looking at, for example, CLVR, if you're looking at CLVR who had a 50% drop, I would look, if you're looking to play the legislative play, you might want to look at CLVR or Tilray or TLRY. So be sure to check those out. But I do like these plays that are under $5 of these penny stocks. I would say Tilray is probably not in the penny stock category, but it still has some very volatile moves. Now, this could move very quickly to the upside, and Sundial has a lot of major catalysts that are coming up, and we're going to learn more about those very shortly. I've got this chart in the 1 week chart, and I've got some lines put in here not to confuse you. I've got it in the 1 week because I wanted to take a look at previous earnings. Now, previous earnings have typically been misses with an exception of this last one. And you can see what happened. It came up here, was not able to make it over $1. Number one, I believe we're at a higher point than what we were previously. Now you can see that it's got November 1st here, but these are weekly charts. So a week prior, it's going to show you here. A week prior, we weren't nearly at that rate or at this price point. We were at 76, and you'll see week before we were at around 47. So this is really telling you about 2 weeks ago where we stood before you're starting to see this solid green candle action on the weekly chart. Now, let's zoom in just a little bit closer. I want to go to the 30-minute chart. Take a look at this. For those of you that wanted to get in today on the pullback and you bought around 73.47, I would say you did pretty well. If you went back here and said, okay, it tested 73.53 in this area, you did well. I think you were buying low. So I've got a line down here at 60, and that might be super way too aggressive. I think if you see a pullback, it's probably going to be very similar to what it was this morning, maybe 9 or 10% at the most. I would say 6 to 8% is typical for a morning pullback when you have just day traders who everybody dumps in the morning, find support so they can ride those charts back up. Like I said previously, this has been doing stair steps and increasing, and you kind of see it starting to go back to that pattern that it had previously. Now, I will tell you, look for these resistance lines and set in a stop loss just in case this goes to the downside tomorrow morning, but always confirm the pattern before you buy in. So you want to see what exactly this is doing. The next thing that I wanted to share with you was I was telling you previously that, what really stood out to me in the last earnings call was the fact that they made investments in their supply chain, a supply chain manager, and everything I seen in here, the ones that really jumped out to me, and there's about 19 positions, right? It says 19 jobs on Indeed, and I looked at Glassdoor, and you can look on the website, and I did see master scheduler. I seen logistics coordinator. I seen demand planner and supply chain excellence analyst. There were multiple supply chain focused, supply demand related, I would say, positions, like overly. So I do believe that they understand how important it is to get this right as far as making sure that demand and supply are aligned, understanding that the general market has an oversupply. Now, as far as the way that people within the organization perceive the business, it's not good. So I just wanted to make sure I point that out, because you have to check in on the company to see if they're meeting all of your expectations, from the leadership to the way the people feel about the company. Now, they could be making some cuts within the company that are really hurting people within the company. And hopefully, as they bring more people into the business and it starts to generate cash flow, they'll be able to give some raises and maybe boost the morale and pay more attention to this aspect. So hopefully this develops, but I would say put that on your watch list. Now let's take a look at what this business will look like if this entire acquisition goes through. And we have two segments. We've got the flower segment and we've got the liquor segment. And they're going to be much different. And that's why I want to see emphasis on all of this supply, demand, logistics coordination happening. Now, Spirit Leaf brand, as soon as we get those numbers, we should be able to take a look at those and say, okay, it looks like you're going to bring in another Spirit Leaf. It's Nova, but you're going to bring in and you're going to be able to double revenue in the next 2 quarters. Once this transaction, or the last quarter, we'll have to see what the timing is. And then on top of that, it looks like you're adding another 612, which this is almost getting to about $1 billion, if this is done correctly. Now, I will tell you, this liquor segment had me worried when I've looked at their results in the past, and this was at the end of the year. It looked like a failed liquor business that just wasn't performing to its highest potential. They were closing down some stores that weren't doing real well, and they may have made enough of those changes, and maybe the delays gave them an opportunity to really get that tight and close down what needed to happen before this is all brought together, and then run this like a well-oiled machine, hopefully. So a lot of things that have to happen with this play. But wow, what a transformation if this goes through. You're able to package this together, and what an incredible price if you're in that 62-cent range and below, or if you find that pullback opportunity tomorrow. This all goes through. Obviously, there's a lot that has to happen, but I'm really excited to see what happens tomorrow. That's all I've got for you. I'll be definitely doing a video when those financial results come out tomorrow. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video if you appreciate this content, and I'll see you in the next video.